83 miles northwest of Las Vegas, the neon lights fade into a brutal, sun-scorched expanse of cracked earth and absolute silence. Tucked between these heat-hazed mountains sits a blindingly white salt flat called Groom Lake. Right on its edge is a sprawling grid of heavily monitored runways and hangars, officially scrubbed from public maps. Anyone approaching this physical boundary is immediately intercepted. Private security forces track the perimeter, supported by ground sensors that can literally smell the difference between a human and a coyote, and a strict no-fly zone known as the Groom Box. That intense isolation provided a fertile breeding ground for modern mythology. For decades, whistleblowers like Bob Lazar insisted this extreme security perimeter was built to protect crashed spacecraft and to reverse engineer extraterrestrial propulsion systems. For decades, the CIA authorized the use of deadly force to guard a facility they officially insisted did not exist, a level of secrecy that allowed these rumors to take root in the absence of any other explanation. To find the answer, we have to travel back to 1954. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a rapidly escalating nuclear standoff, and the American military was flying completely blind regarding Soviet weapons capabilities. President Dwight D. Eisenhower urgently authorized the development of the U-2, a highly classified reconnaissance aircraft engineered to spy on Soviet progress without getting shot down. While commercial planes of the era topped out at 20,000 feet, the U-2 was designed to cruise at an astounding 70,000 feet. Flying high over the curve of the Earth, the U-2 caught the sun's rays miles above the clouds. Pilots cruising in the dark twilight below saw a glowing object moving at impossible heights and immediately reported a UFO. The CIA couldn't admit to the existence of the U-2, so they pointed to weather balloons instead. As long as the public was preoccupied with visitors from other worlds, they weren't looking at the experimental wings of the Cold War. Decades later, the Nevada skies produced a second wave of sightings. Observers on the ground began reporting bizarre, diamond-faceted ships soaring over the desert that looked utterly alien to conventional aerodynamics. Those shapes belonged to a heavily guarded experimental project called Have Blue, which eventually birthed the F-117 Nighthawk. The severe geometric surface was mathematically engineered to reflect incoming radar waves away from the receiver, rendering the plane practically invisible to enemy anti-aircraft systems. The angular geometry the public mistook for otherworldly engineering was actually the precise mathematical architecture required to make stealth warfare possible. The physical base itself also generated intense speculation, driven by persistent rumors detailing a vast network of subterranean laboratories and tunnels hidden under the desert floor. The government did construct deep underground layers, but they were not built to contain extraterrestrial biology. They were dug to evade the foreign spy satellites continuously orbiting the globe. Whenever Soviet surveillance passed overhead, base personnel quickly rolled cutting-edge Mach 3 aircraft like the SR-71 Blackbird into massive underground hangars. This extreme compartmentalization was a highly practical terrestrial strategy. The sprawling subterranean base acted as a structural blindfold against orbital espionage. The thick wall of silence surrounding Groom Lake finally fractured in August 2013, prompted by a Freedom of Information Act request. The Central Intelligence Agency officially declassified a trove of documents that publicly acknowledged Area 51's existence as a premier testing ground for military aviation. Those thousands of pages meticulously detailed the development of the U-2 and A-12 programs. They contained absolutely zero mention of captured saucers, Element 115, or extraterrestrial bodies. The breakthroughs achieved within these fences, from the world's fastest jets to aircraft that can vanish from radar, shifted the technological balance of the Cold War. In the end, the government found that the myth of the alien was the most effective shield for the reality of human genius.